Welcome back everybody to another video. Today I wanted to make a short little blurb here about the differences between TRIR5 and TOBII eye tracker. The fight that you're currently watching is one of the finals matches for the Apno Esports tournament Fight or Flight that we recently did in November. This match is done with TOBII eye tracker. So the response and the awareness level you see coming from the Buccaneer pilot, myself, is from the TOBII's perspective. TrackIR and TOBII are two softwares and hardwares that are, I'd say, the #1 choices when it comes to head and eye tracking. Obviously, TR5 does not do eye tracking, only TOBII does it. But the head tracking side of things is, in my opinion, what is the most important. I want to go through briefly the benefits of using TOBII and the benefits of using TR5, and at the end, briefly summarize the ones that I fly with currently. And also, if you're in the market for either picking up a TOBII or a TR5, the advantages and disadvantages to both so that you can make an informed decision based on the feedback. Ultimately, the benefits, I think, outweigh the negatives substantially when it comes to using a TOBII system compared to not using anything at all. If you're going to use an eye tracker and you want something that is, for lack of a better word, the most adaptable system, there is no better choice than TOBII eye tracker. And what I mean by that is TOBII uses a different tracking system than TR5. And what TR5 usually comes, like, there's problems sometimes with TR5 because when you're looking, when the little IR system is looking at you, if you have too much light pollution behind you with TR5, a lot of times the sensors will get confused and start to track the light spot behind you instead of the actual system that's mounted on your head, which sometimes mid-fight, during a fight, your your TR5 system might snap around and you might lose orientation, and this could be even fatal in some dogfights in StarCitizen. So definitely you got to really watch out. You got to make sure that there's no light pollution in your room if that ever happens. So make sure you have your blinds closed and that kind of stuff. But for people who, let's say, are going to work or there's things going on, and they don't have that ability to either, darken their room or really keep their living space or their working or playing space in complete control when it comes to the lighting, TOBII definitely has that advantage in that area, right? The nice thing about TOBII is you can kind of just stick it on your computer and off you go. You don't need any headsets. You don't need any pro clips or anything, right? So I ended up giving my TOBII eye tracker to my father, Dutch, who comes and plays on stream with me, because I wanted him to see and feel and get a feel for it to see if he liked it as well. Because I did like the TOBII, I really did. I really liked the flexibility of the system, and obviously, if you're looking at these fights here, the head tracking works quite well. So I'm still able to have all the situational awareness that I'm used to having, and all the flexibility that I'm used to having with the TOBII, with the TR5. So a big plus to the TOBII on that. They're about the same price, if you're going to buy a TOBII compared to if you're going to buy a TR5. So again, TOBII's not exactly more expensive or less expensive. It's in the same ballpark. Okay, so it's not like one's $1,000 and it's like, ooh, you're gonna have to spend a lot of money here. So that's a definite positive for TOBII's side too. So more flexible, good price range. Doesn't require as much, I guess you could say, babysitting. I also found myself never needing to what's called reset. So when you have a TOBII and you have a TR5, the TR5 sometimes will need what's called a reset. So sometimes during your fight, your head might be at an off angle, and for some reason, something might go on and the calculation, I guess, or something, but your head will no longer, when you bring it back to center, the TR5 might not necessarily snap back to center, right? And you might have a hotkey. If you have a hotkey place to reset your TR5, which I do, that'll help with resetting it, but it sometimes could be a little bit uncomfortable at times where you might look forward towards your ship, but your head's kind of looking off to the right or to the left or up and down. And then you have to adjust manually your head while you're in the fight to kind of recenter it until the fight's over, and then you can reset it, right? I never found I ran into that specific issue with TOBII, okay? So that fight right there is finished here with TOBII. So we're going to jump over to TR5 and watch a fight with TR5 and see the difference here. Okay, so we spoke about the advantages to TOBII being more adaptable, more flexible, a little easier to use, much less babysitting when it comes to just the application of the system, and having also the ability to have eye tracking, which is really nice, right? So you don't got to worry about light pollution. You just stick it at the bottom of your computer, turn it on, and off you go, right? I know from personal experience, my dad has been using the TOBII recently, and he absolutely loves it. You know, and my father would be a much more industrial focused pilot, not as much into the PvP side of things as I am. However, you know, it is nice to see him use a head tracking system. He's never used one before, and he absolutely loves the TOBII, and I'm not really sure he'd want to go back to anything else. So, TOBII out of the way, let's talk a little bit about TR5, which is the current system that I'm using right now for all my videos, for all my streams, for everything I do, right? And the truth is, I am currently on TR5 for one reason alone. It is a less adaptable system. It requires a little more babysitting. You have to reset and recenter every once in a while. But the truth is, for me, the thing I love about the TR5 is it's more responsive. Now, when I say more responsive, I don't mean has more field of view or anything like that. What I mean is if I move my head to the right or to the left, it picks up and tracks it faster than the TOBII. Now, for me as an avid PvP pilot, it's very, very, very important for me to look into my turns as quickly as I can to make sure that I'm always guns on and I'm always looking towards where I'm aiming to make sure that I'm on target. And sometimes if I have a joust or someone goes by me, I need to be able to pick up visually what's going on, and the TR5 will snap to where I'm looking much faster. And also, I'm not really utilizing the eye tracking that much in a dogfight. In fact, my eyes are dancing in all kinds of places during a fight, sometimes down to my MFDs, sometimes back to my target, sometimes to the right and to the left of my screen, and they're moving quite fast during the fight. And what I find sometimes with TOBII is the TOBII will track my eyes so much that I might be looking one way and the TOBII might track me, and it's just I'm moving faster than the TOBII is really keeping up with me, because my eyes are just, you know, they're all over the place because I'm trying to make sense of everything that's happening during this dogfight. And the TR5 doesn't track eyes, which I prefer, right? Because I'm able to look around and see what's going on without worrying too much about eye tracking, because I want to be able to keep my head static to keep my situational awareness up. So for player versus player, I, at the time, I prefer to use the TR5 for those reasons, right? I like having the really high response. I like having all that stuff, right? But I can tell you right now, whether you're using TR5 or TOBII, the truth is either of them is going to give you a big advantage during any kind of team fight practice or situation in the persistent universe. Having situational awareness in a dogfight is one of the #1 things to have. Where am I being attacked from? Who's attacking me? Where are they? Who's, like, what's going on? All these questions need to be answered, and being able to look around, being able to track your targets, being able to build that three-dimensional model in your head to give yourself those opportunities to lead turn into your targets, it is an advantage, you know. So it's definitely something that if you don't have access to one right now, or you're thinking about picking one up, it's an absolute must. It's going to not only make your gameplay a lot more exciting, it's not only going to make the game more fun to just play in general, but it's also going to give you a tactical advantage in PvP. And also, if you're not really into PvP, if you're like my father, you're very much into industry, you're very much into hauling, into mining and industry, having situational awareness is not only going to make the gameplay, like I said, better for you, but it's also going to allow you to pick up things quicker, and it's just going to bring the gameplay into a more fun place for you. So I definitely recommend an eye tracker, either TOBII or TR5. Now you guys have a general idea as to what I use and why. Again, right, you know, to summarize, if you're going to pick up TOBII, understand that you're getting a better, more adaptable system that's going to be able to, you know, do what you want it to do with much less babysitting. It's about the same price, and you don't really have to worry about having anything attached to your head or anything like that. if you're like me and you're just a sweaty PvP lord that likes to get every possible edge imaginable, and having a little bit more of a responsive system that you know, doesn't really utilize eye tracking, because for me it's not really a big deal in PvP, then go with the TR5. But whether you pick the TOBII or the TR5, you know, you're in good hands. Having an eye tracker or a head tracking system as opposed to not having one, you will see the difference. Once you pick one system up, you simply can't go back. Everybody who I've ever spoke to and talked to and played with, you know, once they pick up a head tracking system, it's game over. I mean, it's just too good to not have, especially in games like DCS, and also increasingly in games like StarCitizen. Having the tracking systems and the head tracking really brings the gameplay to another level. It's going to be more enjoyable for you. You're going to have more access to better situational awareness, and ultimately it's going to give you a better experience. So that's pretty much it, folks. Again, right, I just want to say before we end this video here, I hope you guys are having a great day. Thank you for watching and making it to the end of the video. But also a big thanks to Abno Esports, and big thanks to TOBII for putting and sponsoring the Abno Esports tournament. It's really nice to see these companies step up and to see people take a stand and help build this, you know, PvP community and build this exciting dream that we all hope StarCitizen turns into. And it really takes good leadership and good people in positions like at TOBII here to step up and say, hey, you know what, we're going to sponsor this. We're gonna breathe some life into this situation. So big thanks to TOBII for you folks stepping up. And hopefully, guys, after this video, you run out, it's Christmas time, and you pick yourself up a nice head tracking system, whichever one you might want, right? And I'll see all you folks out there with your new head trackers. I was Avenger 1, and I'll see you next time.